So Sly, I'm your dad.
Bougie, rich dickhead grandfather.
Seventh Heaven meets Cobra.
You gotta keep yourself smelling good.
Terry Funk.
I'm doing it!
Robert Loggia.
They didn't have grilled chicken in 1986.
Tuna on toast.
Different emphasis on a different syllable, and they
You don't have a prayer in Vegas.
The World Series of Poker meets the fucking World Wrestling Federation.
And he takes it over the top. Broadcasting live from inside the World International Arm Wrestling Championship. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Mad Dog Mulverine. I couldn't help it. Sorry. I could do better than that. I actually can't do better than that. I'm Mad Dog Mulverine along with Blaster Ben. Oh, that's a death right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're going down.
And Chad.
Perfect. I love it.
That's right. You guessed it, folks. This week we watched the 80s classic Over the Top starring Sylvester Stallone. It's a steak with shoelaces. And we are excited to talk about this super weird movie. So let's dive into the pool, man. Where do we go first?
I'm curious maybe why Benny brought it to the table. Is there any sort of nostalgia or love or reasoning behind it, or is it just something you wanted to talk about?
I thought we'd brought it up, and
Oh, yeah, we probably did.
Oh, yeah.
We probably brought it up when we talked about Raw Deal, driving the truck through the front of the building or whatever.
Yeah. I don't remember where we brought it up, but I think we brought it up before, and I was like, we got to do that one. So
Yeah, cool.
that's it. As far as my history with the movie goes, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater, like with, I think my mom brought me. It was like a weird,
Nice.
yeah, it was like a weird, like both my parents worked, and I think, it was like an odd summer day or something that my mom had the day off from work, and like we kind of just went out and did a bunch of stuff, and then she was like, "Oh, you want to go see a movie?" And it wasn't like we planned to go see it; it just happened to be at the, it happened to be playing, and that was what we picked. So that was the first time I saw it, and that was the last time I saw it until this recent viewing.
Really?
Wow.
No shit. So what did you remember of it before reviewing it?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, a lot. As far as little details and the general plot. Not that there's really, let's face it, there's not much there to confound you or
Only 3 things happened in the movie, so you only had to remember 3 things, so it wasn't a big deal.
That's it. Yeah. It's although I would say it's in recent viewing, it's definitely like kind of creepier than I remember when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, what about you, Kev? Did you see this in the theater? I like how you said theater, Ben, just because it makes it sound like you watched the movie in 1922.
Theater.
Theatre. You say it like that when you spell it R-E instead of E-R.
Yeah. I like it.
I grew up pronouncing it theater, but some people put a different emphasis on a different syllable and they say theater.
Interesting. I like that. Very good.
And then there's the theater. So
Theatre.
So much so that I get self-conscious every time I use the word.
Really?
Typically, if I remember, I use cinema instead because there's less ambiguity there.
There you go.
Wow, that's a show nugget right there, Ben. That was a nice little nugget.
There you go. It's a little window into my soul.
Yeah, there you go. A little window into Jarhigo's brain. The answer to your question, Chad, I did not see this in the theater. I saw it on VHS or likely HBO. I don't remember which. I remember my memories of this movie as a kid. I've seen this movie a zillion times. No shocker to anybody.
Same.
And remember it as a kid, I just remember like Stallone and arm wrestling. And I was like, yeah. And then I watched it a million more times after that. And I don't know. I talked to my brother the other day, and we hadn't really talked in a long time, so I had been telling him about the show, and I told him we were doing Over the Top, and he flipped out. He was like, "Oh my God." But Yeah, he was going on and on and on about the movie, man, and he was bringing up so many things. And yeah, him and I have watched this about 8 million times. That being said, I haven't seen this movie in probably, I don't know, at least 10 years, maybe more.
At least.
So it was certainly an interesting watch now as an adult versus a younger person. And we'll get into that later.
Yeah, similar for me. I saw a YouTube review of this that was talking about how Stallone's character in this was kind of a surrogate father for a lot of kids that watched it, which I thought was interesting. And I kind of,
Wow.
yeah, and I kind of didn't really realize it until watching it this time, but I think I was one of those kids.
Oh my God.
Which is really funny because, like, you know, we don't need to get deep into it, but like,
No, we do.
as a kid, as like a spoiled little bitch of a kid, like I told myself this story that I didn't have a good relationship with my dad, but that's just like me being a fucking idiot as a kid. So like,
Right.
I think this movie would be such a perfect example of what like a 6-year-old boy thinks a dad should be like, you know, fucking arm wrestling trucker who conquers the world. And it kind of like, I think that was one of the reasons why I loved the movie so much, even though like I don't give a shit about the movie as much now, you know, like it's not like,
Oh my God.
it's not like an uber classic for me, but it's always one that I've remembered. And I think that's the reason why, you know?
Sure. Because you were playing with your blocks in your room and you were like, I wish I had a dad that arm wrestled for money.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, my parents suck. They hate me. But if Stallone was my dad, we would be awesome. He'd rip the sleeves off my jacket and we'd drive around and just being like, okay, kid. You know?
And lift weights.
And lift
weights whilst driving.
Whilst driving, yes. Did you ever have like fever dreams a la like in Flight of the Conchords when Brett has dreams about David Bowie coming and sort of like telling him how to man up?
I probably
did you ever have dreams where like Stallone came to you and he's like, yo, Chad, it's Sly. I'm your dad. Listen, why don't you get your tackle box? We're gonna go fishing.
Yeah. You know, if you don't catch a fish straight away, it's all right. It's all about, you know, you get knocked down, you get up again. Exactly.
It's all about losing with dignity because, you know, life doesn't meet you halfway.
And I forgot how much of a bitch the kid was, so maybe that's why I resonated with the kid, because I was also a little, you know, turd. Like, I hate you. Oh, you're so bad. You're a loser. I hate losers. And just like, all right, dude.
Oh my God. Like 3,000 times in the movie.
3,000, exactly. That's exactly what my 6-year-old self would have said too.
Exactly, right? 3,000.
It reminds me of a little anecdote, which we can if you'll indulge me for a moment. It's one of my favorite stories about my little sister.
Yes.
Where, you know, imagine the you know, family dinner, sit around the table every night. You know, I was a dickhead brother and kick her under the table, just being a douche. And I suppose a little bit of a preamble here is like my, you know, for lack of a better word, fantasy of having like a dad that would arm wrestle and take me with him was so unrealistic and like completely not based in reality. Similar to this little anecdote about her, where she'd get pissed off at the dining room table and go stomping upstairs and being like, I hate you, you know, whatever, to the family.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd just like slam the door in her room and we'd finish dinner. And I found out like 20 years later that she'd been watching Full House, and at the end of every Full House that happens, and, you know, Danny goes upstairs and like talks and has a deep and meaningful and solves the problem, but we never went upstairs. And so she was upstairs every time, like waiting for someone to come and like talk to her. And I thought it was like one of the saddest and funniest things that I ever heard in my fucking life. And I still like crack up with her about it to this day.
Wow.
That's, I gotta say, I'm kind of touched by that, Chad. I'm feeling sad now, not humorous.
Oh, it's sad, but it's also like really like the way a kid's brain works, and you're just like, God, that's just so ridiculous, but so sad at the same time.
Wow, that is something, man. I'll tell you what.
So for me, this was the same thing where I was like, I hate you. I have a great life that I don't appreciate, you know. So
yeah, right.
Now that I'm an adult, I can see the silliness of it, and I thought it was really funny.
That is really funny. Gentlemen, let's dive in right at the most important question of the movie, the very first thing that needs to be hashed out. What is this guy's name? is it Lincoln Hawk or is it Lincoln Hawks? Because I hear both versions 15 times each in the movie. And till the end of the film, I still cannot figure out if his name is Lincoln Hawk or Lincoln Hawks.
Yeah, I never noticed that, but it was picked up in a review I watched. I have no idea. I think it's Hawk, but
According to IMDb, it's Hawk.
there you go.
It is Hawk.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, like, people that refer to him as Hawks in the movie, they're not using it in the plural on purpose.
Evidently, he says it himself at one point.
He says Lincoln Hawks or Lincoln Hawk?
He says Hawks with an S at one point in the movie.
Yeah, when he's betting the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love how every terrible, terrible movie you get hung up on a really interesting detail.
Yeah, well, get ready, strap in, man, because I got a couple of pages worth of those things.
That's so good.
After watching that video on Canon Films that you sent, Chad, I'm actually half inclined to think that it was Menachem Golan, like, changing his mind halfway through the movie and then changing it back again.
I think so too, man. That we'll link it up in the show notes, but I stumbled across this documentary about Canon Film Studios, and holy shit, that was a crazy ride.
Yeah, that was interesting. Those two guys were crazy. Yeah.
It would be worth touching on that for a moment because it's kind of high level, if that's worth, not the film itself, but just like, I think just a note about the studio itself, because I had never really been aware of it. I was too young to have been aware. Were you guys aware of Canon Films?
I remember like the logo, you know, like starting up a VHS tape and seeing the logo pop up, and then, you know,
right,
on various films that I had seen. So I also yet another little cul-de-sac. But do you guys remember seeing Golan Globus productions at the end of certain cartoons?
No.
Yes, I feel like I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've looked it up and I can't find anything about it, so I have no fucking idea. But I swear I remember that. Like,
yeah, me too.
No, I don't recall that. But evidently, they were a couple of Israeli dudes that came across and just started funding anything and everything, and just made the craziest movies in the world. Some of which are known and loved as the best examples of cult classic, so bad it's good movies. You know, like
like The Happy Hooker.
Yeah, The Happy Hooker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But like, you know, Delta Force and
dude,
Masters of the Universe and
yep.
What was the other one? The Cyborg, which we were poking fun at recently. Like, just some really schlocky films.
Oh, yeah. Totally schlocky, dude.
So I just had never stumbled across it and would recommend anyone check out this documentary that we'll link up in the show notes.
Cyborg.
It's just like some of the worst, the best worst stuff I've ever seen.
Oh, good God, yeah.
So in the canon of, no pun intended, in the canon of Canon Films, like Over the Top might be one of their crowning achievements.
I think it's rated as number 2.
Really?
Right below Cobra. Yeah.
Oh, is Cobra one of theirs too? Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
No, it is?
Yeah.
But that was Cosmatos was the guy that directed it. They just produced it, I guess.
Right, but they owned Canon Films, so...
Well, said they were doing like 40 plus films a year, so presumably they'd only direct a couple of them themselves. That might be what happened with Cobra. Kev's everybody's Kevin to make sure that you read the internet right, Ben.
Yeah.
The total lack in trust of his friends. Kev relies on the internet for his powers. I'll give you a minute.
Oh man, I gotta put a link to this photo. Which is just terrific. It's sort of like a Star Wars poster, like a Star Wars movie poster with like characters from all the Canon Films action movies, sort of like, you know, all together, like with like an exploding background. It's great.
Yeah, send it through. I'll put it up on Instagram or Facebook or something.
Mm-hmm.
Have you renewed your trust in Ben yet, Kev? Are you rewatching Cobra just to make sure it has the flavor of Canon Films movie?
Yeah, exactly. I've verified that, and yes,
we have we have our first official ejection death after the rule was created.
Wait, what's the ejection rule again?
The ejection rule is when in the middle of the show at top speed with the afterburners on, you pull the ejection seat and go and fuck around on the internet while your co-hosts have a show.
Yes. There you go. All right, so we got a bunch of deaths going on already here. Let me jot this down.
I think the ejection death is one of my favorites. Did you guys watch that? I guess the only other thing I've got to say on the Canon Films documentary is that little bit on the movie they wanted to make about the kid in the jungle with the monkey. Did you see that little bit?
I did.
You know what? I did not get all the way through it. I didn't have time last night.
That's all right.
Sorry.
It was like just a very brief, teaser of why this is worth you checking it out. Is they wanted to make a movie about like a kid in the jungle who runs into a monkey and like the monkey ends up like loving the kid like a brother or something, like really close kind of Tarzan kind of thing. And the whatever the guy's name is, Golan or whatever, brought in the monkey from Every Which Way But Loose and his handler and was speaking to the monkey and being like, and then you're going to do this and then you're going to do that and you're going to feel this and you're going to feel that. And the handler sitting next to him being like, what the fuck? And then they ended up trying to shoot it and they couldn't, and so they ended up bringing in like a dwarf or something in a monkey suit, and it's like the most horrifying thing you've ever seen, of this like dwarf in a monkey suit falling in love with a kid, and it is so worth your time.
Wow. All right, I'm gonna have to watch the rest of that. I'm upset that I didn't get to finish viewing it. I started it the other day and
That's all good.
just ran out of time. But
What's the name of that treasure trove of a film?
Oh, it was called Electric Boogaloo: The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films on YouTube.
Okay, I was more referring to the monkey movie though.
Oh, the monkey movie. Fuck, I don't know. I could pull the ejection handle and let you know if you want, but
That's okay.
that poster that you just sent me, Ben, for the Canon Films characters is just sick.
wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we need a
Apparently, that's the movie poster for the Canon Films documentary.
Okay.
dude, we need a poster like that for this show, man.
We really do.
I need that tattoo on my lower back.
There you go. That should only take about 25 days. Yeah.
We'll put it up on all the various social media muffins, and maybe there's a listener out there that could pull something like that off.
Make that happen for us. That's pretty amazing. Holy crap. Okay, anyways, 40 minutes into this cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was worth bringing up Canon Films just because I had no idea how schlocky that studio was, and in this it totally kind of changes my perspective on this a little bit, just because like this is considered a masterpiece considering the other stuff they made.
Wow. That is really saying a lot, too.
And that's not even saying anything good about the movie. That's just saying a lot about the other movies.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is saying a lot about the other movies. Let's dive into. I think we should talk about the kid next.
All right.
Because we don't have to spend a ton of time on it, but I mean, wow. I don't just, yeah.
All right, segment over.
What is going on with this kid, man? He's like,
I don't think I could have said it better myself.
Terrible.
I don't know. He was all right in like a horrible way.
Oh, right. Of course. You're still like attached to your 6-year-old fantasy.
That's true. That's true.
Riding the open road with Lincoln Hawk. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kev, I was that boy.
Yeah.
He went to military school.
Yeah. I can picture Chad in military school.
They almost sent me to military school, actually, but that's a different story for another time.
For another episode, folks, stay tuned for that in the future.
Yeah, the bonus Patreon-only episode, Therapy Time with Algorithm.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we're going to do on our Patreon, is we're going to talk about the most boring things.
I'll just cry into the mic for an hour. It'll be great.
all the various trucker fantasies and
Whoa,
all that good stuff. So the kid was just, he was pretty terrible, man. The acting was really on point, so.
From what I read, the poor kid got like a Razzie Award or something that year as like worst actor. And imagine being like a 10-year-old kid and getting told that you got the worst actor award. It would destroy you. You'd be so heartbroken about it.
Oh my God, dude. It destroyed his career, clearly, because he didn't do any other films to my knowledge.
Yeah. It's like the kid from it's like the kid from Star Wars, the episode 1 that got beaten up by all the fans and then like became a drug addict and went to jail, you know? Like it's so amazing what a bunch of critics or fans can do to a child actor. It's just I feel bad for the kid.
Jamie.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't. Jesus, I don't know if I have my. I'm not even going to bother. I think I might have my wires crossed, but I feel like I remember the last time we talked about him, the actor from Jake Lloyd. Is that who he is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm actually pretty sure this is right, but I think he's like he has like some mental conditions, like he's schizophrenic or something along those lines. So he's definitely had like a troubled life.
Other stuff that was challenging him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, even besides that particular example, I feel like child actors should be given a pass. Like, just fucking leave them be. If someone wants to cast them and they suck the whole time, that's not their fault. You know, it's the person who cast them's fault in a way. You know,
right?
I don't know. You might feel differently as an actor, Kev, but I kind of feel like giving a kid a pass is.
All right, I'll give the kid a pass.
I don't mean to bully you into it, but.
No, it didn't make the movie any easier to watch. It was already very weird.
But he was also like, I think, like, I know the whole, thread line of that kid was me bullshit aside, like, him being a whiny, spoiled kid really kind of sells the character, like, it's not like he was a really cool kid and Lincoln's like, yeah, I want to get my cool kid back. He's just like, I don't care if you're a shitbag. I'm gonna learn you, kid. I'm gonna teach you what the real world's like, And if he wasn't just a snobby little dickhead, it would have been a little bit less, I don't know, less of an arc for him, Like, the movie is essentially him moving away from his business-minded asshole grandfather in a way, right? Like, the focus of the movie is the kid, really. It's not Lincoln winning the arm wrestling match, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. It's sort of the Daniel Russo of the Karate Kid. Like,
there you go.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have a note that is the wording in the note is, what is this movie actually about?
I'm not sure.
So, yeah, exactly. That's the answer. I couldn't figure it out in 2 viewings this week.
You watched it twice, though, you poor bastard.
Yeah, I watched it Friday night, and then I didn't get I couldn't take notes all of that one, so I had to finish it last night and finish my notes. Yo.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the movie's about the father-son dynamic and the father being a grounded, blue-collar, all-American Bruce Springsteen song dude who gets looked down upon by the bougie, rich dickhead grandfather, And I kind of feel like it's sappy as hell and, like, it's got arm wrestling in it, for Christ's sake, but, like, I think that's what makes it so bad it's good. It's so bad, like, it's so thoroughly bad. Who the hell thought making an arm wrestling movie was a good idea? That, like, trying to make it about the everyman who conquers whatever the world of arm wrestling and wins his son back is, like, it just transforms it into just something one of a kind. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's no question about that. I mean, the fact that they chose arm wrestling as a backdrop to what is really a very a very tender story about a man trying to get his son back is just a really interesting choice.
It is.
Because Lincoln Hawk, I mean, clearly we're going to be all over the place here because we already are. Lincoln Hawk has definitely a cool name. There's no doubt about that. He does not have a mustache, but he does have a weight set in his truck for
it's pretty awesome.
Making his right arm super huge.
Did you also notice that he had one of those like grip strength, like, spring handles with spring grip strengthener things, like glued to his steering wheel as well?
Yeah. I noticed something in the front, and I just thought it was like some kind of grab handle, and I thought that was like a feature on like a 70s truck because his truck is fucking ancient.
Yeah,
but I think you're right.
Sweet,
It is sweet, but so. Hawk is really what I was driving at was that he's not like a tough, like growling guy like the rest of these arm wrestling people. He's very soft spoken, and Michael, do you want to? There's a really great place up here that has some really nice steak. You want to go up here and get some steak? Like it's just weird. The whole thing is so strange because of the arm wrestling. I mean, if you take the arm wrestling out of the equation, this is like a totally different ABC movie of the week, Hallmark film. Like, that's what this is. Like, this is a Lifetime movie, okay? And as soon as you inject the arm wrestling into it, it turns into sort of Seventh Heaven meets Cobra. I don't know.
It's like a romp. All right, I want to jump in. I want to jump in and derail you a little bit and ask you a question. So, like,
oh my god,
what was GOG about? What was GOG 1 about?
It was about, well, I would say the locus of the story is about Peter Quill kind of figuring out who he is.
Totally. And if you removed the space opera-y-ness of GOG, you'd end up with
this movie.
A kid whose mom dies and who has a father figure. Like I would say, like the Yondu Quill relationship is similar to the Hawk Sun relationship, and the arm wrestling is just as silly and ridiculous as the universe spanning spaceshipiness of GOG. So it's like, I feel like they have a similar flavor in a way, and the mom dying thing kind of it really reminded me a lot of that bit of GOG. So I don't know, it was just kind of an interesting parallel.
Yeah, sure.
Totally different movies, but
I'm with it, and I also feel like your example there was like coming from a Dormammu dimension, Doctor Strange kind of thing, which I really like a lot.
It's a very oblique, ridiculous connection that just puked out of my head, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
Now I'm picturing me as Dormammu and you as Doctor Strange, and we're battling in that strange multiverse. just about the plot of this movie.
Fair enough.
What it's all about. And you keep rewinding time with the Eye of Agamotto so you can respond differently. And that's what destroys me. Oh, my God. All right. So,
just to sort of put a bow on this,
thank you.
This section, hearkening back to that documentary we've been talking about, the actual writer of the film, I believe, said something along the lines of like, they like just the fact that the movie really got away from him and they spent way too much time. They spent way more time on arm wrestling and truck driving than the movie needed to have.
Yeah.
It made thus making the plot very confusing.
Yeah, didn't the writer fucking burst into tears or something when he watched it because of how much they butchered his script or something?
Exactly. He the end of the story is like, yeah. So at the first showing of the movie, at the end of it, I was crying, and Menachem Golan came up to me and said, "Ha, I got you." And he's like, "No, you ruined my fucking career."
Well, this guy, Sterling Silliphant, was the co-writer on this film, and Sly was the other co-writer on this film. And Sterling actually, he won an Academy Award in 1967 for In the Heat of the Night. And then he went on to do a bunch of other stuff. This definitely was not the highlight of his tenure, clearly.
I think the same could be said for everybody in this. Like, I guess Sly only signed on because the guys kept throwing money at him. I think the most he'd ever been paid was $4 or $5 million, and they were like, I guess you probably heard this as well, but the agent, Sly's agent, was contacted about this by those Israeli guys, and he's like, Sly wouldn't even do this for $10 million, and the guy responded, "How about 12?" And Sly's like, "All right, I'll do it." So
yes, and that $12 million was exactly half of the budget of this movie.
Yeah. And then I think it grossed 13 or something, so they barely made enough money to pay Sly.
Yeah, the budget was 25, and the film grossed 16 at the box. It says U.S. Canada.
That's so crazy.
So who knows what the worldwide gross was? But
sure.
I don't know if there was one or any worldwide viewings going on. But at any rate, so
that's funny.
Yeah, where to fly to next, folks?
just like the last kind of high level thought I had was
High level? Wow.
fair enough. The last
Go
high
ahead,
level
Chad.
non-plot related thought that I had was I watched Home Alone 1 recently and totally misremembered the quantity of Rube Goldberg smashing everyone in the face break-in stuff. And I completely remembered the movie being like 90% Kevin McAllister running around beating up baddies and 10% the rest of the movie, but it was the exact opposite. Like the actual break-in scene in Home Alone was like 10 minutes. And similar with this, like I just remember, all I remember is arm wrestling, truck driving. And like, I did not remember like the hour and 15 minutes of not arm wrestling, kid running across the street bullshit. So
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you guys feel that way
No, I'm
about
with you.
this or?
I felt exactly that way about Home Alone and this movie, actually, now that I'm thinking about Home Alone.
I just thought it was interesting. You know, like it's interesting what you remember. You're like, oh yeah, the arm wrestling movie where the guy drives the truck through the building, and you don't remember anything else, or at least I didn't. So a lot of this stuff was like, oh, okay, I totally forgot about this.
Yeah, that is how I felt about this movie. I just remember the arm wrestling, and I was like, well, yeah, it's an arm wrestling movie. It's like, it's really not. It's a tender love story between a man and his estranged boy. Because let me tell you something. Once we get to the scene where he pulls the car over to go to sleep, the truck to go to sleep, that is where this movie takes a turn into very strange territory.
You can put your head on my shoulder if you want.
That's the creepy factor I was talking about at the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. And the funny thing about that scene, not to jump too far ahead, is that in the morning when they wake up, Sly is actually sleeping on the kid's shoulder.
Aww.
I'll manage just fine, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Then the morning workout montage where they pull on the truck to do like back exercises and stuff. Oh my God,
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Morning time for morning calisthenics, Mike. Come on. Like, I don't know what went wrong with like how the acting telegraphed things there. But I mean, ordinarily that shouldn't be like it shouldn't set off your creep radar in a movie where like, you know what I mean? But for some reason they just like, they got the tone completely wrong. It's like, fuck, I'll jump back to Red Dead Redemption 2 and Roger Clark tells a story about they have to, he had to record all these different lines for like, you know, the horses, like, you know, you're a good horse or whatever, that kind of a thing. Like you had to record different ones for the stallions and different ones for the mares. And then there's like also like 4 levels of bonding.
Oh boy.
So like the more you bond with the horse, the closer you get to it. And apparently the director, like after he did the first take, like came back to him and he's like, dude, we gotta redo the level 4. We gotta redo the level 4 bonding with the horses because I don't know, it's weirdly intimate. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he listened to it and he's like, oh, you're a good girl.
Oh my wow.
God, dude. That's fucked. But the truck scene, like you said, like what were they thinking? You can imagine these guys, the creatives in this, sitting around a table being like, all right, we want to really push the trucker angle. Like, what do truckers do? And it's like, well, they drive trucks. Like, okay. And like, what else do you do? Like, well, they sleep in their trucks. It was like, well, why don't we have a scene where the two guys are like, hey, let's sleep in the truck. And then this is what happened, you know?
Yeah, right. They sleep in sleeper cab trucks, not in just regular cab trucks with 2 seats. Like that was just, I don't know. What is it?
It's a weird scene. I do think the calisthenics scene afterwards kind of makes up for it in a way, though, because that was pretty classic.
Kind of makes up for it, dude. I wrote in my notes, okay, after they wake up, my note is post-sex stretching and music.
Jesus Christ.
That's what it sounds like, man. It's like sexy saxophone music and those two stretching to the back. Dude, pull it up. It's on Prime right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, it's they.
No, I know.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm really talking to the other person. I think that like they're doing the stretching and they're fading in the scenes between the different workout moves, in and out of each other, to the backdrop of the sun rising, and there's sexy saxophone music playing. And I was just like, why on earth would you put this after that awkward scene? Just boggles my mind.
I did not get the creeper vibes to the same level. I'm not saying they weren't there, but I just didn't go there.
Because you were still living your Lincoln Hawk fantasy about him saving you.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, my Lincoln Hawk fantasy didn't involve anything more than that, though. So
Chad's like, I want to sleep in the truck with my movie dad.
I
can't believe that. Like, there's a whole segment on child molestation in our fucking show.
Hey, you know what, dude? I didn't do it. Okay, I didn't write the movie. I am merely recounting what I saw on the screen, okay? And it's not an interpretation.
I'm just recounting how I felt inside while watching this movie. That's so
my God.
The saxophone music. I mean,
that was probably just some weird Giorgio Moroder stuff. Like, he probably just, like, they got the really legendary disco, like, Italian DJ dude, and he just misread it because he's, he put an Italian vibe on it or something. I don't know.
If they had put any other music other than that sexy saxophone music, that scene would have looked normal.
A realistic dad-son thing would have been like, oh, we're going to sleep in the truck. And like, Dad, come on, why? Well, this is what we do, And then like, all right, good night, Mike. And then he farts and Mike's like, Dad, you're gross. And they both laugh. And then like, it's the next morning, like,
that would have been funny.
That's fair.
Exactly. But instead,
there's all this like really awkward dialogue and...
It's the way he delivers the lines. He's like, well, truckers sleep in their trucks all the time. You might want to try it. Like that just, yeah, no.
Negative. On the sexy saxophone, though, I do think that's a great segue into the music because the music was pretty awesome in like a terrible 80s way.
Oh, yeah. They got some firepower for the soundtrack, man. You got Eddie Money, you got Kenny Loggins, you got Sammy Hagar, you got Asia.
Totally.
Yeah.
Giorgio Moroder.
Totally.
And I saw Giorgio Moroder come up in the credits, and I was like, holy shit, Giorgio Moroder, no way. So I was, pretty pumped.
And don't forget Frank Stallone.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. The headliner.
Yeah, of course.
I kind of want everybody Kevs on Giorgio Moroder for a minute, because I didn't realize just how legendary this dude was until Daft Punk picked him up for a single on their album, where like I knew stuff that he had done, but I didn't know who he was. I'm sure Benny, you probably knew who he was, being a music junkie, but
yes, Chad, I knew exactly who he was.
I knew he's my bro. You slept in a truck with him once. But the Meet Me Halfway song on this one that Kenny Loggins sings, like, I had completely blanked it from my memory, but like 4 notes into the background music of it, I was like, fuck, I know this song. And it was like, yeah, just completely forgotten about it. And Giorgio Moroder wrote it and is known for a lot of other huge things, like the Scarface soundtrack, Neverending Story, Midnight Express. He won an Academy Award for that. Flashdance, the Top Gun soundtrack. The dude's like a fucking legend, man.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get much more 80s than Giorgio Moroder, so.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I just brought up like a little, I brought up his page, and it says that he basically pioneered EDM music.
Yeah, disco, and yeah, it's impressive. Like, I know that Sly says that the one thing he would change about the movie and he's pissed off about was the soundtrack, and he would do way more orchestral stuff, which I totally disagree. I think the soundtrack and the arm wrestling are like the 2 strongest things in the movie. Like, having the balls to make an arm wrestling movie and then back it up with just ridiculously good 80s music was just fucking great.
Right. Well, Sly also said in an article that I read that he would have changed the arm wrestling situation at the end to something less than a carnival. He didn't like the sort of carnival vibe that it had. So
I loved it.
He would have done something different. I thought it was great the way it is, but I also want to point out, like, Stallone is really bringing it in this movie. So, the creepy sex vibe thing that was going on in the truck, like, I think that was a something that was a product of just the way that they wrote the lines and all of that sort of thing. But and the choices in the editing, obviously. But Stallone really is bringing like full thunder of acting to this role. You know what I mean? Like he's really working to dial it in. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's compare it to Cobra, and it's like Stallone is turned up to 11. Man, he's like, he's bringing it, man.
No, he really, really is. This is more akin to like his dramatic roles, which we touched on in the Cobra episode, and I brought up Copland, where he really is really fantastic in that movie, and it's not about an action movie at all, So sort of ditto with this one, like he's not all grunty and growly like the rest of the arm wrestlers / truckers.
And was this would have been around the time of some of the, like Rocky 3 or 4 or something? Do you know?
Yeah, this is around the time of all that.
Because it kind of seems like I'm not a huge Stallone head. Like I haven't seen everything he's ever done or anything, but I kind of got like a bit of a Rocky vibe in the sense that like, it's not dissimilar in the sense of, boxing versus arm wrestling and the underdoggy kind of thing, and there's a bit of dramatic kind of chops in the acting. So it's obviously they're not the same quality of movie, but it definitely feels like at this stage in his career he was able to bring some actual acting to the table.
Well, I mean, dude, look at First Blood. Like that was a great film. Like that is a great film. Like that's up there with like many other great like sort of Vietnam, post-Vietnam stories. And just to put it into sort of chronological perspective, I'll go from 82. It's Rocky 3, First Blood, Staying Alive, Rhinestone, Rambo, Rocky 4, Cobra, Over the Top, Rambo 3, and Lock Up.
Interesting.
And then we round out the 80s with Tango and Cash.
There you go. That's super interesting that Cobra's in the mix there, because he was way more cardboard cutout-y in that. Like he was good in it, but there wasn't the same level of like dramatic chops I found, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyways.
It's just kind of funny because, not that Stallone can't, you brought up a bunch of examples, Kev, of Stallone, really showing some acting chops. But you don't necessarily associate him with that. And it's just kind of funny that he really brought it for this movie of all of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You're right about that, And I think you're right. He gets pigeonholed and associated with these action movies, but he, as I said in the Cobra episode, he's got way, way more range. And Rocky, another great movie that's like the acting is tight.
Absolutely.
And do you feel like he's got more range than Arnie?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, because this is almost like his Raw deal in a way, where it's like in the middle of a lot of his legendary movies, and it's kind of a weird one,
I like how we say that about every movie that he does.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I think Cobra and this, like, they are mixed in to like some really, really great stuff that he did, where similar to Raw Deal for Arnie.
Yeah. Oh, you mean great stuff like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
Shoot.
Exactly.
Damn you.
Tango and Cash, Oscar.
Suppose a paycheck's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was so good in this one, because he got such a massive fucking paycheck.
Yeah, probably. It's like, I need to actually put in a little effort here.
No, but he remember, he also got writing credit as well. So he's getting residuals from the writing and from the acting in the film.
Yeah, right.
In addition to the paycheck. So yeah, that's a good little nut there. Yeah. Guys, hang on a second. Folks, we're going to be getting right back to the nerdery in a second, but I just had to take a quick break because I want to thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. We put a lot of work into it, and we really love doing it. And if you like the show, there's a couple of great ways you can support the show. First, you can rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also tell someone to check out the show. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, incredibly important, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning into the show, and now back to the mayhem.
Another kind of creepy and bizarre scene in this movie is when Lincoln Hawk forces Mike to arm wrestle the like kids in the arcade.
Rufio from Hook.
What's that?
Arm wrestle Rufio from Hook, or like one of the kids from Hook. He's like dressed like a street rat.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, with the spiky mullet and all that.
He was like Johnny Lawrence, you know, like when Johnny Lawrence was like younger.
It was the kid from Karate Kid. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, from the Karate Kid.
Yeah, very, very similar character archetype. But you know, it's like it's not like it was discussed. It's not like you ever saw, you know, Sly giving him like, you know, pointers on how to arm wrestle or anything like that. He just like shoves him into the situation and he doesn't want to do it. And like, it's just really weird. Like, you imagine your dad being like, all right, you're going to arm wrestle this kid. And then like standing behind you, like, you know, like watching over you while you're doing it. It was just, I don't know. It just struck me as weird. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah. There are so many uncomfortable things about that scene and so many things like, I think that the editing, it was just a weird scene choice, first of all. Secondly,
even,
it was
even the way they like, yeah, they edited and filmed it like like there was like the seriously ominous like synthesizer drone like going on like
just like it was like lifted straight from Cobra.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, I even thought that when I was watching, I was like, this is like the music from Cobra. And the way that the scene starts off is he's like, oh man, that was a good breakfast. Like everybody's all happy. He's like, yeah, you know, let's go get in the truck. And then like they're walking out and he's like, hey, how you feeling, Mike? You feeling strong? You feeling good? Let's go check this out. I got something I want to show you. You know, and it's all like, it's just like happy thing. And I think he's going to like, you know, go buy him a foam trucker cap that says Bono on it, like the cap that he wears. And like all of a sudden he brings him over to the pinball machine and there's the guy from the Karate Kid who's like, yeah, put him in a body bag, Johnny. But he is like way younger and he's playing pinball. And it just goes to super weird town, man. Like Ben said, with the weird encouragement and like throwing him into the situation, and then like the kids themselves, especially the Karate Kid guy, body bag guy. He says, "If I couldn't beat you, I'd kill myself." I was like, "Wow, that's really intense place to go," you know, like. And then the other kid says, as they start the arm wrestling match, is like one of his flunkies to the right says, "I want to kill him." I was like, "Wow, that's again really intense for teenage kids, man." Like
turning it straight up to 11.
Yeah, turning it straight up to 12, really, like 12 million.
I suppose it's all just to lead up to the pep talk outside while Mike cries or whatever, being like, you know, your life doesn't meet you halfway. You got to go out and grab it. Okay, Dad.
Right, and then the kid responds with, "Well, my grandfather said you were a loser, and now you're trying to turn me into a loser like you, and I hate you." And then they go back inside, and he crushes these two kids in arm wrestling. And then the lead kid, put him in a body bag, Johnny kid, says, "How'd he do that?" Now, that would have made a lot more sense if Stallone had taught him like the secret techniques of arm wrestling, the ancient mysteries of arm wrestling.
Yeah, the thumb technique.
Right, but the weird thing is that the kid sort of automatically does the hand position reposition.
Right.
So like you can see his hand go in that different position that Stallone does in the arm wrestling scenes, and he takes it over the top. But because those elements are missing, it just makes the scene uncomfortable, creepy, and weird. I'm done.
Yeah, and nobody in the arcade notices this going on. Like, it's just, you know, I don't know. It just seemed really weird. And then, like, at the end, the kid just, like, pays up. Like, there's, like, no, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, all right, guess you won.
Yeah, I don't know. Once again, 12-year-old me, or I suppose 7-year-old me was, like, totally plausible, because that's the way 7-year-olds think, you know? I don't know.
I I love Chad's entire attitude on this movie, and based on his personal life experience, was not expecting you to come to the table with that, and I love it.
I wasn't either. I think it's interesting though, because like
it clearly didn't stick out to me when I was a kid either. It just
Yeah.
watching it now, like having not seen it since then and watching it now. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too woke or something, but it just seemed weird to me.
I mean, I suppose the only thing that I hadn't really considered until you guys just brought it up now was the whole like grown man bullying two teenagers into arm wrestling in a room full of adults and no one has a problem with it. Like that's pretty fucking weird.
Right.
But from the perspective of the kid, it doesn't really bother me. From the perspective of the kid, it's like, you know, he's a military school kid, whatever, but being kind of like pushed to better yourself by your dad who only knows how to drive a truck and arm wrestle. Failing and then coming back in and succeeding is attempting to have that like father-son bonding mentor thing going, but like
Sure.
it's so funny because like I was just saying, like Lincoln Hogg only knows how to drive a truck and arm wrestle, and he forces his kid to do both of those things in the movie. You know, like he forces the kid to drive the truck when he starts getting sassy. It's, well, why don't you drive the fucking truck then? I'm doing it. You know, like this is so weird.
Oh my God.
But there you go. There's an example where it's not like, you know, it's handled like fairly normally, you know, like there's nothing that sticks out outside of the fact that, you know, a kid driving a fucking a vintage auto car, fucking tractor trailer,
double clutch,
like,
16 gear tractor trailer.
It doesn't seem plausible at all, but there's nothing like creepy about it per se, you know. Whereas like this other scene is, you know, clearly they're going for the father-son bonding mentorship kind of thing, but just the way it's handled is really fucked up.
But
yeah, totally
similar to creepy nighttime sleepy shoulder time, and similar to the truck scene, like
sexy
saxophone. He wins the arm wrestling match, and it's like, good job. And then doesn't he get kidnapped like 4 seconds later or something like that?
Right after.
Yep.
Just like,
exactly
after.
right after that.
it take like the whole point of the arm wrestling teenage abuse scene was so that Sly could give him like a pep talk. It's like, here's an amazing piece of pep talk dialogue, and then they completely like throw a grenade into the kind of outcome by having the kid kidnapped and then like a high-speed truck chase. It's just such an interesting way to thread things together.
Oh, they did a magnificent job of threading things together. And I just want to say before we move on from the pinball arm wrestling scene, you know, part of what makes it weird is the way that Stallone is playing the character throughout the movie. So like when he goes into the situation, he's like super encouraging, you know, trying to teach. He's like, come on, Mike, you can do it, Mike. You're doing great, Mike. Come on, Mike. You know, so that just made it even weirder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's totally fair. A grown man abusing teenagers to arm wrestle, like feats of strength, like it's Festivus or some shit. It was pretty weird.
Festivus. Oh my God. Oh my God. Get me out of this movie, man. I feel like I'm living in it right now. Okay, so the segue, so we want to talk about the high-speed truck chase.
I want to talk about the fact that Sly Stallone is hauling a container full of fucking cologne across the country. Brut cologne.
Not just any cologne, Chad. Brut cologne.
Brut.
Because the first thing that I thought when I realized he was hauling a truckload of cologne is that he wasn't doing a job. He was just driving his collection of Brut cologne because that's how much fucking cologne he wears across the country.
Yes, absolutely.
And I loved it, and I thought it was hilarious.
I think that is hilarious. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
You don't get to shower a lot when you're on the road, so you gotta keep yourself smelling good.
You gotta put some cologne on.
Yeah, I like to keep a couple extra bottles of Brut in the back for myself.
Yeah. So maybe he wasn't lifting weights when he was pulling that rope forward. That was like the spritzer of the truck size cologne bottle, just spritzing cologne into the cab.
Wow. That is great, man. You are on fire today, dude. Yes, exactly. So the image I had in my head when you started saying that was a secret sort of door opening on the top of the truck, and then a giant-sized bottle of Brut popping up and spraying everything around the truck as he's driving.
Like 100-meter radius. You see, I was thinking more like a little hatch opened up and then it just sprayed into the cab, and they all just like coughing on cologne. But either way.
Either way.
Yeah, no. I was feeling that, but for some reason that image jumped into my head.
Right.
So I don't know, whatever. I mean, it's that's this show. It would have been funny if he was like, this is what we really do, Mike. We drive around and we spray things with Brut to make the world smell better.
Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, but we... All right, so...
No, I'm not just a truck driver. I'm like the Johnny Appleseed of smell goods.
The Johnny Appleseed of smell goods is now officially on our list of merch.
Yeah, Johnny Appleseed.
It's just going to be a bottle of Brut, and it's just going to say Johnny Appleseed of smell goods. Oh my God, I love that.
That is really rich. Nice one. So...
Oh my God. I think we got to talk about the other diner scene.
Please.
Oh man, yes. So many things going on there. I love how firstly, so they go in there and he's like, he goes, so do you like the place, Mike?
That was such a weird thing to say.
Dude, it's a trucker diner restaurant that serves steak and, strangely enough, tuna on toast with spring water with lemon. And like, I couldn't believe he asked his kid that, And then the kid responds with, I don't really care for zoos.
Oh, zinger.
Whoa.
He doesn't need any more spritz in his water. There's plenty of spritz right there.
Burn.
No, sorry. I never did. Yeah, he goes, I never did like the zoo, sir. And then he gives Stallone a second lecture on eating healthy and exercising.
Discussing calorie counts and whatnot, fat content.
Exactly. Of a fried chicken dinner. He didn't know that it was a fried chicken dinner. Maybe it was grilled chicken,
Maybe.
Who knows?
They didn't have grilled chicken in 1986.
That's true.
They didn't do grilled chicken in 86. They did. So then the kid orders tuna on toast, spring water with lemon, and Stallone's like, "Yeah, we double that." And then the kid's like, "Yeah,
I win."
Like my dad just ordered the same thing that I did. Awesome.
I just had a flashback of the Spaceballs scene in the diner with the alien jumping out of his chest. He's like, "I'll have what he's having."
Yes. Ooh, that was funny. Yes, I forgot about that.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby.
Hello, my ragtime gal.
I think I love the use of diners in this because being an expat currently, I miss the dirty diner and the dirty diner food. So I have an appreciation for it, but the zoo bullshit and the tuna on toast bullshit was kind of ridiculous. That said, the secret underground quote-unquote fight club arm wrestling component of that diner was pretty awesome.
Well, it wasn't really a secret. It was like, I was just amazed that they had a whole section of the diner that was reserved for arm wrestling specifically, including a regulation table.
Right. Exactly.
It's as if every trucker in America was at the same time, a semi-pro arm wrestler.
Right.
Well, Ben, I mean, there is an entire truckers division in the arm wrestling world,
yes,
as we find out later in the championship.
And evidently, that's actually the case. I tried to look into this a bit, and evidently it's a thing, which I was pretty blown away by.
Wow. I am blown away by that now.
Who knew?
I probably should have saved that for Nuggets, but there you go.
Well, it should have been safe for Nuggets, Chad. Shame on you.
God damn it.
Damn you, man. So then we get introduced to You say his name, Ben.
Oh my God.
He can't stop laughing, dude.
I am not going to be able to. Oh my God. Okay, so we get introduced to the character Smasher.
Yeah.
I'm Smasher. I mean,
Smasher.
come on, Smasher. But even funnier is the actor's name is Magic Schwartz.
Right.
Really?
Which if we and if we take it literally, it means magic black, because Schwartz means black in German. So
See, I was thinking more Schwartz with the like Spaceballs reference from earlier.
Right. Yeah.
does Schwartz be with you?
Yeah, he's got a magic Schwartz.
Yeah, either way, it's funny.
I like it.
Yeah, when I looked that guy's name up, I was just beside myself. I couldn't believe that was his stage name or his real name.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's his actual real name, but it's what he is known as.
It's so good.
So,
and this is a great time to bring up the ADR component of this movie, because the ADR in this movie is a character in this movie. There is so much ADR work in this movie. It's ridiculous.
Like what?
Like what, Movie? I'll tell you. So when we get into the Smasher scene, so like, the dude rolls up, he's wearing overalls, love it, and a sick bleach blonde mullet, very 80s, and he goes, "I'm the Smasher!" And Hawk is like super non-confrontational, like he doesn't even want to talk to the dude. He's just like, I'm Hawk. And, he's growling on and on, you're the man to beat. And then you hear this ADR line in the background. This guy goes, "Yeah, tell him, Smasher!"
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's great. That was the first, like, really big ADR that I noticed. And then, like, the rest of the movie is just, like, ADR heaven, man. So,
Oh, that just reminded me totally of the, like, when he's walking up the steps of the military academy and every single human in the scene is, like, whispering about him. There's tons
yes,
of ADR.
totally, man.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
The lady and the guy, they're like, what is he doing here?
they're like all clutching their pearls.
Yeah, there's a dude taking a picture on the steps. He's like, "Don't look at him. Pay attention to me taking this picture." It's like, what the fuck dialogue is this?
Super, super strange choice with the ADR in this movie. But
That's
like,
funny. I didn't think about it until you just said it.
Yeah, they've never seen a man in suspenders and a denim button-down shirt before with a
Right.
tie.
With the clip-on tie that he pulls off.
Exactly. Who just washed up behind the garage where he got gas for his truck or whatever. Like, I didn't even get that whole scene. Like, he's down the road. Was his drop-off in the same town as the military academy? I didn't really understand that.
That was the impression I got. Like he's just that efficient with his trucking.
And then he's like washing up and he's like just splashing the water all over the mirror. And I was like, how are you going to see enough to clean yourself up if you can't clearly see in the mirror?
I love how hung up you get on that shit. It's so good.
I'm doing it for you at this point.
I
bro.
know. The back to the Smasher stuff though, I like one of the things I think I really loved about this as a young dude was just how much this was like WWF wrestling. Like,
Oh my God, totally.
it was like the most WrestleMania fucking craziness ever. And at that age, I probably was like still all about wrestling and probably still convinced it was real because I was only like 8 years old.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely think that they chose well with the carnival aspect that Sly didn't like.
No, I do too, and that's a perfect segue to mention that Terry Funk is in this movie, and he plays one of and we haven't even talked about Robert Loggia, but Terry Funk plays one of Robert Loggia's flunkies in this movie. The guy that gets that Hawk puts through the glass French doors in the presidential suite later on in the film, and Terry Funk was a really well-known wrestler, and so is his dad actually.
Yeah, right.
And this was around the time that he started transitioning into doing films. And he was also one of the flunky bar bouncers in Roadhouse, which we are absolutely talking about on this show in the future.
Yeah, I definitely got a Bushwhacker vibe with the Smasher, man. I used to love the Bushwhackers.
I have a theory that
Ooh.
Smasher is the prototype for Brock Samson in the Venture Brothers series.
Dude, yes.
I reckon you're onto something there, man.
You are onto something, man. Same hair, same build.
I love it.
You know what I think the most interesting part of the Smasher scene is that they sit down and they're, the tuna on toast is about to come, and we get a couple of really interesting things happening. We get a very, very super mysterioso entrance by later on in the film villain Bull Hurley, wearing straight up red lens aviator sunglasses and a t-shirt that is not dotted with sweat, but rather sweat that is dotted with dry patches. and then like he goes into arm wrestle Smasher, and like, okay, so he just picked up his kid who thinks he doesn't care about him, hasn't seen him his entire life. He drags him into this diner that has the best steak in the universe, and they sit down and order tuna on toast. As they're waiting for tuna on toast, the Smasher comes up and gets in the dude's face, and then like everybody walks into the other room to like dial in the arm wrestling table, and the kid goes, where are you going, Dad? Or sir? He goes, where are you going, sir? And he goes, I don't have time to talk, Mike. I got work to do. And then he just walks away. Like, that would be really weird for a kid who's riding around the country in his estranged father's big rig. I just thought that was super strange. Not only that, he doesn't even look at him. He's just taking off his shirt and he walks away, man. I was like, this poor kid.
Yeah, fair enough. The kid's like sitting there awkwardly at a diner with a one-sleeved military jacket. Would have been like the most awkward thing in the kid's life, and the dude just walks off. It's so good.
Well, yeah, but then it gets even more awkward because then you have sweaty t-shirt Bull Hurley comes up to you and goes, what are you doing, kid? And he's like, that's my dad. And he's like, that's too bad. Or something weird like that.
It's creepier than that, but I don't remember exactly what it is.
It is creepier than that. And then, I gotta say, man, winning $1,000 in an arm wrestling competition in 1987 that's a lot of money. Like $1,000 in '87 was like, I don't know, man.
That was at least like 2 to 3 Nintendos.
It was like, I was going to say it's more like $5,000 now, but whatever. Yeah, it's 2 or 3 Nintendos.
2 or 3 Nintendos, yeah.
Oh my God, man. Yeah, the Bull Hurley sort of entrance in this scene is just, again, really weird, man. Because he has a weird like thing going on, like where he talks really normal for the most part, Like he's talking to Hawk like they're old buddies. He's like, yeah, you get lucky again, Hawk, and all this sort of thing. And then he kind of goes back and forth between that and being kind of creepy and menacing, Like, I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, well, also, we don't know who the fuck he is when he walks up and starts talking to Mike. You're just like, wait, who the fuck is this guy?
Right. And if I was the kid, I'd have been scared shitless. It's like my dad just walks in the other room to do arm wrestling of all things. I have no idea that he's into arm wrestling. And then this weird bald dude with easily the sickest handlebar mustache in the universe comes walking up to me to talk to me. And he's got red lensed aviators on, and he's basically wearing a t-shirt that's permanently soaked in sweat. Right?
Yeah, it's quite the intro for the character. Like,
thank you.
That whole time you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Who's this creeper? Like, why is he talking to the little kid? And like, you're like, oh, okay, he's like the incumbent, arm wrestling champ or whatever.
But you don't find that out for like 2 hours.
Right, yeah, yeah, exactly.
No, we don't find out for 2 hours. He's sort of the holy grail of arm wrestling, if you will.
Yes.
The only other thing about that scene is I just found it incredibly interesting how the way he talks to Hawk. So like he's talking to him, he's like, yeah, let's just get it over now, Hawk, double or nothing. And Hawk, he's super, super mellow, the whole time. He doesn't really ever seem to get his blood up about anything. He's like, oh no, Bull, let's just save it for Vegas. And he's like, I don't know if I can do justice to this, but I'm going to try. He's like, Hawk, you don't have a prayer in Vegas.
It's so meat-tastical.
It's just so weird, man. And that's like the prelude to the grunt fest that comes later in the film. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Let's go somewhere next.
We should probably touch on the truck going through the mansion at some point, but maybe not quite yet.
Oh, dude, we're definitely going to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
And then, again with the ADR, the kid running into traffic was just the weirdest thing. Sir, can you please pull over the truck? He's like, hey, what do you don't feel good, Mike? And he's like, can you please pull over the truck? And then he just jumps out and runs into traffic like a 4-year-old would. You know what I mean? Like a little kid would run into traffic, like not having any idea what was going on. And he runs into traffic, and this kid's like 10. I think he's supposed to be 10 or 11 years old. He
10.
runs into traffic like he is like a deer. He has no idea what's going on, and there's all these people like stopping and swerving and screeching.
I don't think this is what happened at all, but I'm picturing like the kid running across the street with his arms locked straight at his sides, just like hoofing it across the road like the weirdest kid ever.
Yes. Everybody knew a kid like that when we were growing up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was just super bizarre, man. And then the ADR there, there's like a guy going, hey, what the hell you think you're doing, kid? It's just weird, man. Loggia. God, we haven't even talked about Loggia, man.
Let's talk about Loggia.
I mean, talk about bringing some acting muscle to this movie, man. Robert Loggia is a legend. But one thing I love about Loggia in this movie is that he is so 80s rich in this movie, right? You know what I mean? Like he's like a kind of less evil version of oh my God, how can I forget his name? Ben, help me out. Brad Wesley from Roadhouse.
Yeah. So yeah,
he's like the perfect evil 80s rich guy that owns the small town, and like Loggia he's like a less evil version of Brad Wesley. You know what I mean? He's just so 80s rich. I don't care. I'll do what I want. You know what I mean? Like everywhere he goes, he's like, find my kid, do this. I don't care what it takes.
He has an incredible tan.
Yo, incredible bronzing going on, man. Totally. And then like when he's in the hospital, he's like, he walks past a doctor, okay? Not a nurse, not a orderly, nothing like that. A doctor. And he goes, if anybody calls my daughter's private line, notify me at once. It's like, yes, right away, sir. Yeah, I just love like 80s Richie D-bags like that.
Do you think there was any nuance to the character in the sense of like, just he was totally being like, Wall Street style douchebag gets his way, but he also like thought he was doing the right thing for the kid, even though we know he isn't. Like he thought he was,
Right. But that's the thing about this movie. Hold on a second. No, that's the thing about this movie, Chad, is that you have elements like that. So he's like, he's kind of 80s rich douchey, and then he's also just bringing like typical Loggia A-game acting to this movie. You know what I mean? Like ditto with Stallone. Like that's why this movie is so strange, because you don't really know what it's about, and then you've got the arm wrestling component that make the other story in the film just so strange, because all the scenes with Loggia, which there really aren't that many of, he's just doing his usual great job of acting. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Ben?
He does hot-headed anger and yelling better than anyone in the business.
Totally.
Don't you think?
Wow. Nice. Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
He's Loggia, man.
Yeah.
No, he does. He plays an angry dude really well.
You could argue for a Pacino, but I feel like Loggia's just way more subtle than a Pacino. Pacino's always screamy in the same way.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, he's in that category. Loggia takes the cake, man. Sorry.
Definitely.
No doubt, dude. And he's way more underrated. I mean, Loggia was probably 50-something when he made this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine. I don't know. Hang on. I can find out.
I can't believe the guy's still kicking around.
You can't believe the Loggia is still kicking around.
Well, just like this movie was made in 86, 87, I was just like, he's reasonably old in it. I figured he would have been, have already passed away or whatever. Not that it's relevant, but I just was surprised to see that he's still making stuff.
He was 57 in this movie because he died in 2015.
Oh, he did die? Okay.
R.I.P. Loggia. You were the bomb. Yeah. He died in 2015. He was 85.
Yeah, right.
And he's from Staten Island. Yo.
Yo.
I don't know why I did that. I'm not from Staten Island.
I don't know why I did it either. So there you go.
So anyway, that's all I got on Loggia.
I do kind of feel like on the Loggia character that ADR aside, the opening scene where everyone's like sticking their snobby noses up in the air at the trucker who shows up is definitely a major undercurrent. Like Loggia's character being like, I need to protect this kid from this bum truck driver is completely in keeping with the like 80s white collar versus blue collar kind of thing. So I enjoyed that, everyman aspect of Hawk versus the rich guy.
Yeah, and again, the thing that's weird is that like he's this sort of down on his luck truck driver, but he's like the nicest guy, and he's like super thoughtful and heartfelt, and I don't know, it makes kind of no sense, sort of. The pieces don't all fit together. That's what makes this movie such an interesting piece to talk about.
Well, maybe it's worth segueing the comment about him always being super cool, calm, and collected into the one time he isn't cool, calm, and collected by fucking ramming the gates.
Oh, the ram raid. Yeah, the ram raid was just, again, man, like, honestly, to me, it doesn't fit with the character.
Yeah.
It fits with that truck, though,
Hell yeah.
No doubt.
The minute I saw that truck, I was like, oh, that thing's going through something. That thing it was made to drive through things.
No doubt, especially with that huge bull bar like welded onto the frame.
Yeah, giant fucking cow catcher. Yeah.
Totally, man. The thing was sick. But okay, so I know this is a little bit of a stretch. I can't even believe this. I'm going to say this, but, kind of keeping in the theme that I've been pushing throughout this episode, Lincoln Hawk is like this really kind of thoughtful, heartfelt dude. He's not really a violent guy. He does the arm wrestling because that's what he does to hustle money on the side. And for him to like take the truck, ram it not only through the gate. Like if he had just rammed it through the gate, I would have been like, okay, fine, I get it. He doesn't stop there, man. He's driving through the fountain. He's driving over all the statues. Statues from Loggia's Richie Rich estate, and then he drives right into his front door. Sorry, whenever I see statues like that, I always think of that Fred Armisen sketch from Saturday Night Live. Did you ever see that with the marble columns?
Marble columns.
You got to get yourself some marble columns.
Oh, my friggin' God. What, does the fucking Pope live here?
Just ask my daughter Lexi.
Yeah. Yeah, that like 80s Richie Rich, you gotta have some statues, gotta have a fountain, gotta have some columns.
Gotta have columns, bro.
And he blasts through a couple of like really nice cars or a limo or whatever.
Yeah.
At one point, I think.
You know what? Can I just digress for a slight second here with a little Loggia cul-de-sac?
Sure, man. You can transition away from the SNL sketch to another cul-de-sac if you'd like. I think we can find our way back.
Okay. I pulled up Loggia's Wikipedia page when we started talking about him a few minutes ago, and it's still up. And the picture of Loggia that they used in the Wikipedia page, this is how powerful Loggia is. His photograph looks like he's looking at me and saying, "You could do better than that." And every time I glance over to my left, I see Loggia looking at me and saying that. And that's how powerful Loggia is. Beyond the grave.
He's got the Mona Lisa thing where he follows you around the room.
Kind of. I was really just talking about Loggia's intense power because I think he was totally underrated. Anyway.
I'm down.
Okay, so yeah, Ram Raid. Go ahead.
The now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, I think the Lincoln Hawk bullying his son into arm wrestling a teenager is out of character and was only there to set up for the, pep talk afterwards. And I feel like this scene is only set up for the hero loses everything trope from the hero's journey bullshit. So
Yeah, well, they definitely shoehorned it in, dude, because it does not fit at all.
And like the driving into the building thing is pretty much the only thing I remembered from the movie. So like I kind of remembered it as he drives it into the casino and then like they give him the fucking trophy instead of arm wrestling. Like that's how out of whack my recollection of this was. And to have it like obviously that's not what I actually thought, but just like I thought it was like the key moment in the film, and it turns out it's just like, the fucking dad with the restraining order driving through the fucking gate and like running over a bunch of shitty statues. It's just such a ridiculous thing. And then just immediately the cops, like 50 cops show up 1 minute after it happens, like they were waiting down the street.
I love it.
It's just like, okay, man.
Yeah, well, when you're that rich, man, the cops, they roll out. They roll out hard, man.
I loved how much Loggia's henchmen were like totally on board. They weren't just like employees. They were like, yeah, this fucking scumbag Hawk, like they totally despised him as much as Loggia did. And I really enjoyed the ridiculousness of that.
Oh, you gotta love that, man. You gotta love that.
They were like the embodiment of the ADR in this movie.
Absolutely. And again, the ADR was just everywhere, man. Every scene, I felt like they were just, it was almost like they didn't even have the actors talking in the film. They're like, we'll just ADR it later.
Well, based on that Cannon Group documentary, it doesn't surprise me now that I'm thinking back. Like,
no, me neither.
They probably spent 4 days shooting what they thought was, something completely different, and they turned it into this ridiculous movie through ADR and other stuff.
There you go. Tell him, Smasher!
Well, I suppose from the truck through the mansion thing, it basically goes straight to the arm wrestling competition, intercut with Mikey stealing cars and trying to get there.
Right, after he gives up custody of his kid, his only blood child.
Right. Yep, from the jail thing, which, whatever.
From Mr. Cutler's personal secretary? Yeah, who's a man. Yep. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Right, arm wrestling.
So then we get to the carnival scene. The carnival scene that Sly hated that I think is fantastic. Basically, the World Wrestling Federation.
It's just such, I could not get over, in both the viewings that I did the last 2 nights, I just could not get over the insane amount of growling and grunting by all of the wrestlers, all the arm wrestlers. And I would say a third of it was ADR, but like, my God, man, the growling was just weird.
It's all weird, man. There's the last time I was like kind of like watching that scene before we started recording today, and there's a scene where Sly is arm wrestling. I can't remember what the last name is, but Mad Dog something. He was the dude with like the kind of like a wrestling singlet top and the curly hair, like.
Yeah.
And they're arm wrestling, man, and they have got it fucking turned up to fucking 1,000,000. Like they're just like it's so like just ridiculously intense the like what those guys are doing. That like it's just it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's and it's Mad Dog Madison or
Mad Dog like Madison, thank you. But you know what I'm talking about? That particular match was just like, for some reason, that one really, really stuck out as being.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was just like, I felt like the whole sequence was that, like, just insane chest beating and growling and grunting from everybody except Lincoln Hawk.
But it's exactly what you would expect. Like, I'm sure it's not at all realistic, but that's exactly what I would imagine an arm wrestling championship would be.
Sure.
Let me rephrase that. It's exactly what my 7-year-old self would expect an arm wrestling championship to be.
There must be some colorful characters that show up for things like that for sure.
You would think.
You know what I didn't do, which I should have done, was just tried to like YouTube an arm wrestling championship to see what it looked like.
I did it.
You did?
I did. It is nothing like this.
Well, what is it like then? Not your 7-year-old self.
It's like two dudes go up and there's a referee puts his hand on top of their hands, and like almost every time their hands like snap apart in 1 second, and then they strap them together, and then the bout starts again, and it's like 2 seconds, and the dude slams one guy's arm down and it's over. Like, it's just super quick, rarely goes either way. Like, I don't know, it was somewhat similar, but it was way more like watching weightlifting at the Olympics than it was, you know, the World Series of Poker meets the fucking World Wrestling Federation, you know?
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. That's a really great way to put it. World Series of Poker meets wrestling. It's like they're taking something that's not exciting and they're trying to make it exciting in this like artificial kind of way. You know what I mean? Because it's sort of like lawnmower racing or
Totally.
or
Men sleep on their lawnmowers, Mike. You want to try it?
yeah, exactly. It's like ESPN 8 the Ocho from Dodgeball,
Very
man.
much so, yeah.
Like, I feel like this would be like a prime or even like the headlining kind of sport on the Ocho. You know what I mean? Up there with like,
Yeah, sandwich between lawnmower racing and professional dodgeball.
Exactly, Ben.
Did you guys see that they actually like spent money and set up a legit arm wrestling championship with a prize for this movie? And then they filmed this.
What?
They set up an actual championship. The studio funded it, and they brought people in, and almost all the footage is footage from the actual championship that they put together, except for the sly scenes.
So, wait, what? I don't even understand how that's possible. So, you're telling me that all the crowd reaction stuff, that's all from the actual arm wrestling tournament, and then what's not, like the close-ups of like Bull and Sly, or
They didn't get into great detail, but they said, believe it or not,
sorry, Kev, they didn't go into Inception levels of detail about this one minute thing in the movie.
there isn't like a behind the scenes 30-minute documentary about it. But my understanding is that they paid for a tournament. I think that they had the crowd all hyped up to check it out, like actual fans or something. And then they used the same set, the same location to shoot the Sly stuff a day later, and they brought the audience back in as extras to give it like a sense of kind of continuity, I suppose. But it sounds like there was, you know, enough of that footage was them hamming up a legit tournament. And I mean, obviously the tournament it looks the way they want it to look, so it's a bit fantastical, but I just think it's interesting that they like forked the money out for a legit-ish tournament.
Wow. Yeah, I think that is interesting and strange that they decided to go that route
Right.
to film the scene. Can we talk about the announcer for a second?
Yeah?
That guy is bringing like 120% to the role as the announcer. He is just on it. And a couple of other things. I swear to God, I started feeling like when I was watching it yesterday that the announcer was like entirely ADR'd. I don't even know if it was by the same guy. But then there's a scene as we go through the carnival of the announcer. I can clearly see the announcer talking as he's walking behind some of the arm wrestlers, and his mouth is moving, and he's not saying anything. You can't hear him. So I think he was ADR'd, and I don't know. I'm like obsessed with this ADR component of this movie for some reason. But
Clearly.
yeah, clearly. But the other thing about the announcer that just like I couldn't get over was like he must have said 8,000 times. Sorry, what did I say before? 3,300? 3,000 times.
3,000.
He said 3,000 times, remember, folks, this is a double elimination tournament. You have to be knocked out twice to be out.
They beat you over the head with that, man.
Oh, my God. He would go back and forth between that and, remember, folks, this is a double elimination tournament. If you get knocked out once, you're not out of the tournament.
Yeah, it's like they thought people would be confused about how...
Is that how double elimination works? Because I didn't know
exactly.
that. That's what I kept thinking the whole time.
Wait, but he lost. How is he still in it? He lost.
Yeah, right. Wait, hold on. Can somebody explain these rules to me?
Hold on. Pause the VHS. Talk to your neighbor. It reminds me of Formula One. Like I really enjoy Formula One racing, and a lot of times because there's a hell of a lot to it, like tons of technical stuff. The announcers on it'll be like former race car drivers, and it's just like, and such happens here, and someone pits here, and the lap time is this, and really technical that. And then they're like, if you're just joining us for the first time, this car has 4 wheels, and they drive down the track, and like the most, like fucking seriously, dude. Like they put fuel in it, and it's like, okay, guy, I get it.
Wow.
You need to help the noobs along, but
before we start there, we need to go back and talk about the history of the internal combustion engine.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you say the double elimination thing one time, we got it. Thanks. You're obviously Freddy foreshadowing. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we touch on the other hilarious bout where the FUBAR dude drinks a bunch of motor oil and eats a cigar? That was amazing.
Dude, Grizzly is only I don't know, him and Mad Dog are kind of in the same realm, like he ate a cigar, drank motor oil,
They're buddies. And then afterwards, there's a really quick shot of him putting some Alka-Seltzer into a glass of water.
Yeah, great product placement, man. I love that.
Oh, not only that, but Bosco was wearing an Alka-Seltzer tank top during the competition.
I read some weird thing that like the Bull Hurley dude was an actual 4 or 5 time arm wrestling champion, and they didn't use him in the scenes as much as they were going to, so he had a lot of spare time, so they fobbed him off to do product placement stuff. And so I think that like the Alka-Seltzer shit,
For real?
I think so. I'll see if I can dig that nugget up because I'm probably butchering it, but it was the weirdest thing where like the arm wrestler dude wasn't being used, so they sent him out to sell the product placement stuff. And so that's why you get like Alka-Seltzer stuff, because evidently it's, I don't know, it must be something arm wrestlers do or something. It's the funniest thing.
Well, clearly that in Gold's Gym, because he has a Gold's Gym weight belt on, back support belt during the competition. He's wearing a Gold's Gym sweaty T-shirt in the diner.
There's some really weird I can't think of any of the other product placement off the top of my head, but there's definitely a ton of it in here. Oh, dude, one of the things I thought was really funny was I think it might have been the final bout or one of the final bouts, Michael's like crawled his way to the front and is trying to get his dad's attention. And like the final match is on or some shit. And there's this lady standing next to him with a fucking notepad and pen, like taking notes of an arm wrestling term. Like, what is she writing fucking down?
Dude, I have the exact same note.
I just cracked up. I would love to see that sketch pad. Just be like, what could it possibly say?
I know. I had that same exact note. I wrote, there's a reporter.
Okay.
She's taking notes. Like, you're taking notes about an arm wrestling competition?
I didn't realize she was a reporter, but I still thought that was funny shit.
I thought it was funny too, man. I just thought it was bizarre. It was like, okay, so we got like a lot of press down here covering the International Arm Wrestling Championship. Like, okay.
I liked the like World Series of Poker cutting to them being interviewed kind of bits throughout.
Oh my God, that was like the best part.
I'm like a truck. I turn my cap around, it's like a switch.
Now, see that right there, that line was what we remembered like as kids watching this movie. That's like probably the only line I remembered.
Yeah.
But like the interviews, the sort of candid interviews in front of the truck, when I get out there, you're not my friend. I want to maim you, harm you, break your arm. Make sure you never get on my arm wrestling table again. I was like, wow, okay.
That is dangerously close to a Bill Paxton, and I kind of wish that they roided up Bill Paxton and he was in this.
What was close to Bill Paxton? That voice I just did?
Yeah, just like it had like it was like a sprinkling of Paxton, and it just made me want you to redo the like, you were in restricted airspace.
I was just going to say, you loved that, man.
I did. I still do. And I want a roided out Bill Paxton to be in the arm wrestling competition.
You must land your aircraft now.
When The Rock remakes this and Big Trouble in Little China, he'll digitally recreate Bill Paxton and put him in the remake.
Perfect. Oh my God, man. Again, the yelling. Jesus. And the fans are so into this, man.
Yeah.
One thing in the candid interviews that I thought that was kind of funny was when Bull goes, he says something to the effect of, I only get first place. Second sucks.
Cool, man. Profound.
Okay, pal.
So can we bounce to the end? Because like the climax of him winning and stuff? Do we have anything else before that?
Nope. Yeah, I got one or two. I was amazed that the arm wrestling competition, according to the announcer anyway, started with 500 entries from around the world, and they whittled that down to 8 in like a matter of a couple of hours. I also loved two things, like, and this is just like a thing that I noticed that I thought was so 80s. When the kid's crawling underneath the bleachers, there are literally 3,000 cups discarded underneath the bleachers. And I couldn't help but thinking like, man, that is just so 80s. Like, I remember how nobody cared about the environment. Nobody cared about recycling. It was just filthy. People just threw trash everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It reminds me of that scene in Mad Men where they like all go for a picnic, and then the picnic's over, they just pick up the blanket, just flip it off, and all the trash goes out, and they get in the car and drive off. Like, it completely was the way the 80s was.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Like, I forgot about that level of like, just, I don't even know what you call it, not caring that people had back then, you know? It was pretty staggering, dude. The only other note I had was I don't know, man. This whole arm wrestling thing is just really funny to me. And like when the referee's like, and now from the International Arm Wrestling Council, the referees. There's some like shadowy room with like a big high sort of half circle table, and like all the members of the Arm Wrestling Council sit there sort of lording over the arm wrestling world. Like, that's what started popping into my head.
They're like poring over the rule book, trying to figure out how to, pass some new regulations on arm wrestling or something.
Something like that. I don't know. I was kind of picturing like the shadowy council, like in the Avengers or whatever, or like, stuff like that.
Oh, no. It's Papa Palpatine. It's when Papa Palpatine's hooked up to that arm, and there's like 6 billion Sith in the stands just doing fucking nothing for 1,000 years.
Totally.
That is the actual, like, that wasn't the Sith Order. That was the Council of Arm Wrestling Federation of United American Arm Wrestlers.
Dude, that, in my opinion, may be the single best tie-in we have ever come up with on this show. Sorry, any one of us has come up with. That was...
And a death.
I love it. And a death.
Oh, it's a thoroughly... I'm so willing to die to make that fucking shitstorm of a movie a little bit better by tying it into Over the Top.
Yes.
That I will gladly die.
That was worth it. That is worth it. I would have gladly died as well. That was really, really worth it.
It says something when you're improving a film by tying it to Over the Top.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
That's this material that elevates what you're talking about.
You know a movie's bad when.
Oh my God, man. I can't stop thinking about that now.
What?
Palpatine hooked up to that like robo machine going, the final order. and like stands full of people from the International Arm Wrestling Council.
Totally. Maybe that's why Kylo was all sweaty with his shirt off, as he was actually a former arm wrestler.
No, or he had just come from an arm wrestling competition.
That's what I'm saying. And he had that like sweet belt that you sent us a photo of, Benny. That was like supporting his back while like smashing, dude's arms down with regulation tables. Yeah.
That's why he became estranged from his parents. He's like, I just want to arm wrestle.
Fuck you, Mom. The funniest part of this, guys, is that he is just as bitchy as Mike, and Kylo Ren's dad, Han Solo, is a space trucker.
Oh
my God. I was just about to say that Michael grows up to become Kylo Ren. They're exactly the same. Think about it.
That's what I'm saying. And the reason Lincoln Hawk is a father figure to me is because he's actually Han Solo.
Oh my God, dude. This is easily our best theories ever in this particular show.
Ever.
It is really something.
Okay.
That's how you lace a steak together, kids.
That's it. I want to talk about my favorite thing. My favorite thing about this movie is that Robert Loggia the whole time is a complete prick bastard. And then Lincoln Hawk wins an arm wrestling match and he's like, you know what? He can have the kid. That was impressive.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I just loved that. I loved how quickly he's up in the presidential suite trying to get bribed, and then he wins an arm wrestling match, and the dude changes his mind. Like, it was so funny.
And I love how Loggia came all the way down from the presidential suite to watch the match.
Right.
He would never do that.
So good.
And it's so good. And then he's just like, you can have the kid.
You win.
You're all right. I've been trying to get you out of my life the whole movie, but you're all right. I don't have anything else on the ending, so we can move on to...
Does Benny have anything on the ending?
No.
NDR. Yeah, unless Ben has something to add. NDR.
Yeah, man. Nuggets.
Deaths, ratings.
Y'all got any nuggets?
I just have one. Go ahead. It's your section, Chad. You run it.
It's not my section. I've got one. So Bull Hurley, the dude that played Bull Hurley, this is a tie-in. It won't beat our amazing Kylo Ren is Mike from this movie tie-in, but it's still pretty interesting.
Oh my God, never. Yeah.
So the dude's name was like Rick Zumwalt, Zum whatever the fuck.
Yep.
And
Zumwalt. Yep.
he was actually the third choice for that role.
Come on.
Yeah, so they wanted this other dude who was a pro arm wrestler, but he was too huge and it wouldn't have been believable that Stallone could beat him, so they just, didn't go there. So fine. But second place to play him was none other than
Andre the Giant.
Zangief, a.k.a. Ox Baker.
No way.
Get out.
Yep. Ox Baker was supposed to be Bull Hurley.
Wow.
I thought you guys would dig that.
I love that. Talk about a freaking crappy movie crossover. Jesus, dude, that is really something.
I'll never look at the baseball bat trash can lid fight in the same way from Escape from New York.
Oh, wait, you're saying, hold on. You're telling me that the guy that played Zangief in Escape from New York was in running for this role?
Yeah, Ox Baker, man.
Right. I was confused. I thought that you were talking about the actor that played Zangief in the actual Street Fighter movie.
No. That's easily confused. Yes. No. Ox Baker from Escape from New York's trash can baseball bat fight.
Oh my God, that is really awesome, man. Talk about that is a crossover right there, kid.
Yep, that's it.
Nice.
I got a micro nugget where they, the Rick Zumwalt guy, they paid him $1,000 to. I think that might even paid him $10,000 to shave his head for the role, and he liked it so much he never grew hair ever again.
Really?
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Okay. I had to know who played Zangief in the Street Fighter movie.
We have a double ejection, ladies and
Everybody
gentlemen.
Kevs.
Double ejection. There goes Kev again. He's flying through the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a double ejection show. You have to eject twice in order to die in the show.
Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a double ejection event. Okay, here's my nugget.
Okay.
The referees in the film were all actual professional arm wrestlers from the World Arm Wrestling Federation or whatever it is. That's a real thing.
World Arm Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, the WAF. WAF.
The WAF.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
That's awesome.
And I just as a little sort of like a bonus tie-in, I love when the announcer announced all of the referees, like a literal army of them come pouring out of the sort of the backstage area, not unlike all the security guards in Commando for the mall. You know what I mean? Like there's like we're at the final match and the guy's like, and now the referees for this final match. It's like, do we need 20 for the final match? I would think maybe 2, 4 tops, you know? Like I just thought that was funny. All those guys come pouring out of there. Like should we move on to deaths?
Well, I had a little nugget to throw in.
Yes.
During the course of this episode, I pulled in Everybody Kevs and decided to look up David Mendenhall, the actor who played Mike, the kid.
Right on.
And discovered that he was in a ton of 80s television, notably G.I. Joe. He played Daniel Witwicky in the Transformers TV series and in the movie. He was on Magnum P.I., so...
Different Strokes, Punky Brewster.
No. Wait. Let me chime into this nugget with the silly monkey falling in love with a kid movie that we were talking about. He is the kid in that movie.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, you got to watch this. You got to watch that 5-minute section in the middle of that documentary. I completely forgot about that.
Okay, and what is the name of that monkey movie? Did it have a name?
It has to be. I'm looking at his IMDb right now. It has to be Going Bananas.
Oh, it's got to be Going Bananas.
Ben, I got to tell you something, man. I secretly looked up Mendenhall's Wikipedia page, and I didn't tell you guys that I was Keving while I did it.
Wow, the entire Going Bananas movie is available on YouTube.
He was also in the Smurfs Christmas special.
Oh, that classic.
You know what I'm most stoked about is that the kid did the voice of Daniel Witwicky on Transformers.
Yeah, maybe it's like you're stoked because you know the kid didn't have like a crushingly bad career. He's got that claim to fame at least.
Oh, he's got a couple of claims to fame.
Yeah, quite a few actually.
It's good. Now you don't feel so bad for hating on him on this one, eh?
No, I know. It was bad. I shouldn't have done that.
It's all right.
All right, but hey, what's done is done. Let's move on to the deaths.
Yes.
Benny, I didn't record a death for you. What did you have?
I don't believe I did die.
God, man, he is like...
You're on fire, dude.
You are. You're dodging death like all the time. I'm really impressed.
You're like 1 for 9 or some shit.
He is.
It was spectacular, though.
Oh, you died the fuck out of last time with Star Warsing Picard.
Yes.
Yeah, that was...
Okay. Let's not bring that up. Let's not bring that up again.
Okay. I just want to say that was probably the most epic death on the show ever to date. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Chad,
it's about quality, not quantity, kids.
It is about quality. There you go, dude. I think, Chad, your death was the most beautiful because you like threw yourself on the floor of spikes to make a insane, probably one of the top 5 theories / connections we've ever done in one of these films or TV shows we've talked about.
Yeah. With Papa Palpatine.
You are now a martyr.
You are a martyr, man. That's called a martyr death right there.
Yeah, a martyr death kill?
Martyr death kill.
Yeah, martyr death kill. Ooh.
Oh, no.
This show is getting so fucking meta, dude.
I love it, dude. I love it. This is a great, fun episode after so many like heavy-duty, brain-melting, science fiction topics or whatever. I only recorded the 2 ejection deaths that I had. No, I had the Mad Dog death as well.
They were pretty glorious, man.
3.
Yeah, I had 3. I'd
Eternal Death Slayer 3.
I love it.
Yeah, I couldn't help it.
Well, you just slayed me with that, Ben. So
I feel like every show we just try and tie in as many fucking episodes as we possibly can.
I know, right? It's the episode where we just reference ourselves in other episodes.
Because it's not funny to anybody but us.
Yeah, get ready to unsubscribe, folks. Anyway. Right? This week on the EBD podcast, get ready to unsubscribe when we meta ourselves talking about our own best jokes from our own episodes.
I love it.
Good Lord.
All right, ratings.
Bunch of losers. Hold on. Just real quick, Chad, real quick. I had the ejection death in the beginning with, I can't even remember what it was. I looked up somebody on the internet. Then I had, I don't know. I considered it a death because I called myself Mad Dog Wolverine at the beginning, and you guys were like silent. So I was like, okay, that's a death.
Yeah.
And then the Zangief ejection death. So that's it. Those are my three deaths. Rating.
Yep. Ratings.
Go. Rating.
I want to hear. Oh no, I like Benny's rating not going first because he's got the. You go first, Kev.
Tough one to rate. I'm usually not having a problem with a rating on a film, but this one is difficult for sure because it is just inhabiting multiple quantum realities at the same time. There's so many weird things going on. Stallone is like dialing it in with his acting. Loggia is there. He's bringing 110. The announcer's bringing 110. The kid is just all over the place. There's just weird, these strange, oddly sexual references that made me uncomfortable. I'm even uncomfortable talking about it now. Like, I don't know. Like, the arm wrestling was just insane. It's like, what is this movie about? I don't really know. Like I said, it's best summed up as a sort of a ABC movie of the week, Hallmark movie, Lifetime movie meets a World Wrestling Entertainment match. And Terry Funk is in the movie, so that sort of lends some legitimacy to that. So based on all that garbage that I just spewed out of my mouth, I would give this thing I'm going to give it a 6. And
Nice.
It's because, there's some nostalgia factor for me, but I was very rattled when I went back and watched this, and I was like, oh, this isn't how I remember it at all, and I'm feeling very uncomfortable.
And it still gets a 6?
Yeah. Well, you think it should be lower?
That's pretty low for you, for
that's true, I suppose.
Numbers that Kev and I would use,
Yeah, that's
fair.
It
is. That's why I can't. I'm sort of a little bit torn, Like I'm feeling like I don't know if I could sit through this again, which is really weird for me to say because I can usually sit and just watch anything over and over again.
Yeah, you did watch it twice,
especially. I did, but the second viewing, it was like I finished at 11 o'clock last night, and like at 10:30, I was like, "Good Lord, dude, there's 30 minutes left of this thing." so I don't know, man. I think you know what? I'll upgrade it to a 6.5. That's my final answer.
Okay, I was more insinuating you would go lower, but that's cool.
Oh, okay. I thought Ben was disappointed in me, and I took that to heart.
No,
sorry.
No, not
I shouldn't
at all.
be judging myself like that. All right, I'm sticking with the 6. 6.
Yeah, cool. I like it. You want to go, Benny, or you want me to go? I don't mind either way.
Sure, I'll go. This is kind of a little bit different of a rating for me, but I think it makes sense. It's like a referential kind of rating. So when I was a kid, I think I came away from this movie thinking it was definitely 2 steaks. Watching it as an adult, it is definitely 2 tuna salads on toast.
With lemon mineral water. That's amazing.
Oh
there
my God. Wow. That is a low rating. I love it.
Well, it's not 2 tuna salads out of 10 tuna salads. It's 2 tuna salads out of 2 tuna salads.
There's a time and a place for tuna salad, It's but it isn't steak.
Yeah.
It is not steak. It is not steak. I was gonna say actually, I want to do a new part of the show, Chad, like just a quick, like a little add-on to the rating section where you and I guess what we think Jarhigo is going to say
Ooh.
before he says it. Because I had, I thought you were going to say something like 3 sweaty arm wrestling elbow rags.
That is a good one. That is a very good guess.
Because that's like, you know, like the fun is that, you know, you're sort of guessing what Jarhigo's improbability drive would actually come up with. You know,
Yeah.
I like trying to figure it out, and I'm sure that we would be wrong every single time, which makes it even better.
Well, you know, in another branch of the multiverse, that is what I picked.
That's it.
On both counts.
That's
on
it.
both counts. What do we got from the algorithm?
I don't have a spiel here, but I was quite surprised at the whole like surrogate dad bullshit. So I think that definitely like paints an interesting picture about, you know, my recollection of the film and the ridiculousness with which a 7-year-old, 8-year-old brain works. But yeah, I've got a lot of nostalgia, I guess. It doesn't mean I'm going to rate it well, but it's a goddamn arm wrestling movie, for fuck's sake. Like, that's pretty legendary. So I got to give him props for that.
Definitely.
That said, it's definitely a borderline movie. Kind of the way my algorithm works is you kind of have good as the baseline for legitimately like good movies. Below it is borderline, and below that is meh. So it's a borderline movie firmly. It comes in at a 4.4 for me, which kind of seems a bit high, really. But as discussed in the previous couple of episodes, the bottom end of the algorithm is kind of weird. But I find it's kind of ironic in a way, because this is not at all pre-planned. But the movie directly below this on the algorithm is The Rise of Papa Palpatine.
Dude, nice.
So, as discovered in this show, this movie actually is the movie that The Rise of Papa Palpatine should have been. And as a result, it is a 4.4.
Nice. This movie is definitely better than Rise of Papa Palpatine. I can tell you that right now.
Which is the saddest thing ever, but I have to agree.
Saddest thing ever, but yes.
Yeah, I think I agree as well.
That was a lot of fun, guys.
Dude, that was a blast. Before we end the show this week, we have one noteworthy item that we wanted to talk about. It's kind of exciting, kind of interesting, something that Chad found out. So we thought we would talk about it for a couple of minutes and bring it to y'all's attention. Algorithm, tell us about that.
Yeah, I just saw an interesting piece of news that Craig E. brought to the table on Twitter, and it was just that Justice League's getting reshot, or not reshot, I suppose, but like recut by the original director. There was a tragedy in the family, and he had to leave, and Josh Whedon came in and finished the movie. So I just thought it was interesting that they're going to chuck a huge chunk of money. They're going to spend $20 million to finish effects and get the thing, out and about. And it was just an interesting kind of piece of news in the streaming universe and the DCU history. I'm just curious what you guys thought about it.
Well, I find it interesting because I'm a fan of Snyder's other work. I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely up there in terms of superhero films for a lot of reasons. Watchmen is really, really excellent. Really excellent. 300 is an incredible movie. Sucker Punch is kind of out there in terms of what it's about, but it's visually stunning. There's no question about that. Zack Snyder's a very visual storyteller.
Yeah.
And the way it went down with Justice League, him having a tragedy, having to leave the way that he did, that's a situation where it's like you got to make it work. So you pull in the guy that did the Avengers, and they probably asked him to make it like the Avengers, but he did make it like the Avengers, and it had too much of that lighter tone. And what I didn't like was that all of the other DC films have a darker tone. They're more serious. And because of that, they're kind of more interesting. And it follows suit with like the way the comics always were. The comics were always more cerebral and darker in tone than the Marvel stuff. I'm not saying that the Marvel content isn't good. It's great. I've watched many of those films way too many times. So I'd be really excited to see that. especially if they can really dial it in and make it good, because the current cut it wasn't right. It did not knit together all of the other films, which is exactly what they were attempting to do.
Yeah.
Sort of,
It was like they wanted to, they stopped Marvel printing money and they're like, hey, let's do what they're doing and see if it works. And it didn't.
Yeah, they were too disjointed. There was no unity there. The unifying thread was not there with all the films, unfortunately, And they really had Snyder making too many of them. Because then when you get a director like, I should know her name and I don't because I've talked about her numerous times, who made Wonder Woman.
Patty Jenkins,
that's it. Patty Jenkins did a really, really good job on Wonder Woman. It's easily one of the best out there, if not the best so far, the DC films. So it's like you get a Patty Jenkins doing Wonder Woman. Now, even though that was probably the best of the DC films, it looks vastly different to all the other ones because Snyder did them all. He did Batman versus Superman. He did Man of Steel and started doing Justice League. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I would definitely be excited to see it because I was really bummed out by Justice League. I mean, it was bad enough that like the scenes from the trailer weren't in the film. It's like, come on, man. So, yeah, I would definitely be stoked to see a Snyder cut of this film.
Yeah, definitely.
I like Snyder's movies, So I am definitely interested in seeing a recut that is more of his vision. I'm interested in seeing some additional footage. I didn't particularly care for it in its current incarnation, but I might like it better. I really don't know. I'm the DCU for me at this point with the movies. I really liked Wonder Woman. I like Hank Cavill as Superman, although I don't really know how I feel about the movies. Definitely not a huge fan of Ben Affleck Batman. So yeah, I'm curious about it, and I'm definitely going to watch it. But I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not holding my breath or freaking out. Or there's a better analogy, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of on that motorcycle too, Benny.
Really?
Yeah, I was less interested in the Justice League stuff back in the day, and I wasn't super pumped on the Affleck stuff, and I wasn't super pumped on a lot of these movies. But I am very interested in seeing what the original director can do being brought back, and how different it'll be. Like, will it be very similar to the Justice League thing and be just kind of like an extended version? Will there be like drastic differences in the plot? It's just the first time I can think of, or the first time I'm aware of such a drastically different thing happening with the same exact, film stock as opposed to a reboot. So I think that's really the most interesting part for me.
Well, it's an interesting way to repurpose something in the current climate that we're living in. I mean, there's nothing getting made. So what are you going to do? Well, let's take a movie that had, X potential with the original director, Y potential with, the way they had to release it, and let's see what we can do, So I think it's a cool way to try to do something different.
Yeah. And interestingly, there are rumblings that, he wants to release like a 4+ hour cut, which may or may not be any good. And then also, because it's going to be such a long cut, they might release it as episodes. So it's just like a new approach to existing material that I'm really curious about.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're willing to throw money at this new thing. I mean, they clearly were trying to copy Marvel with the MCU, but just didn't have any success. And now they're, trying a lot of different things. And it's worth just throwing the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Like, I'm all for new attempts at new forms of telling these types of stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they've obviously invested a lot in this shit. So they got to try and break out the paddles and do something, I mean, they're being made to look pretty awful by comparison to, Marvel Studios. So, there's a ton of fucking great source material out there, and I don't understand why they can't, I mean, they did it with Wonder Woman, and, Man of Steel was actually pretty good. I did like that. So I don't know. I think the potential's there, and I think they can really do something with it if they get the right people involved and they put the right energy level into it, and they try to do it their own way instead of trying to copy what somebody else is doing,
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm kind of more interested now because now I'm starting to think about all those films, and we haven't touched on any of them. in the show, like as a general note, you know.
I know. Although lamenting about Batman, I do, one might assume that we've done like, you know, every possible incarnation, including Adam West. But we should, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's plenty to talk about there. You know what I mean?
This could be interesting, and I hope it is, because I feel like, you know, the DCU has a lot to offer. I just haven't seen anything yet that's really blown my socks off. So bring it.
I don't know. It was just interesting. And thanks, Craig, for bringing it up. I'm glad we had a chance to talk about it.
Absolutely. No, definitely interesting. I'm glad you brought that to the table. My favorite part of the show, one of my favorite parts of the show, is asking C-Lab forever, what are we doing next? C-Lab.
Next, we are going back to Delos and concluding season 3 of Westworld.
Oh, nice. Well, there you have it, folks.
There it is.
Folks at home, thank you so much for joining us on this Mr. Toad's wild ride of a movie. If you have any comments, anything we missed, please post it up on social media. I would love to hear it because this movie is so bizarre. Other than that, thanks again for joining us, and I will see you on another time.
See ya.
Slater.
Later. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means the world to the three of us. If you'd like to support the show, there are many wonderful, wonderful ways to do that. You can always rate us, review us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can do it. You can also tell somebody to check out the show. That's the real magic moment right there. We would like to get help in growing the show, so please tell a friend to check out the show. You can ask us questions using our email, contact@ebd.fm. You can also ask us questions using our Twitter hashtag, AskEBD. You can find me on Twitter @Mulverine. You can find Ben on Twitter @Jarhigo. You can find Chad on Twitter @ChadNormal. You can find the show notes for today's episode in your podcast app of choice, or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/57. Again, folks, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.